losing.
Look, and Claire is responsible for the education of Nicole Wallace on the sanctity of the filibuster. I get it, and we don't need to debate it because it appears to be over. But what I want to understand is where the threshold for pain comes from for Democrats. Why tolerate being dominated by Mitch McConnell? Why tolerate 33 voter suppression, voter nullification laws signed in? Why tolerate all of the discontent from your base?
Well, first of all, let me say clearly why these voter suppression laws are happening. And I'm going to quote Senator Warnock. He said it best. Some people don't want some people to vote. And the some people are the Republican Party. And the some people they don't want to vote are the people who don't vote for them. So what really is getting teed up here, and I do think this will make a difference, what happened today. Joe Manchin was for this bill. Joe Manchin negotiated this bill. And Joe Manchin has been given the ever-loving arms of the Republican Party around him. Oh, Joe's our guy. Joe's standing up for what's right. He couldn't get one vote for his bill. It makes Joe Manchin look so weak that he can't manage one Republican vote. And I think this is a moment where they got to, like, you know, and by the way, it's not just Joe Manchin and Sinema. There are other senators. I know for a fact there are other Democratic senators that are patting Joe Manchin on the back and saying, I'm glad you're doing this. Reporters should ask every single Democratic senator to get on the record as to whether or not they would vote to carve out the voting rights legislation from any filibuster attempt. That should happen right now, and every voter in their state should know about it. And I really do think we maybe move the needle a little bit on a carve out today because the states that have passed these laws are the states we have to win to hold the majority.
Well, I mean, the truth, Ari Berman, is that by the time anyone votes again, they'll all have laws. And we've covered them here. We've covered them every single day since January. Not only do they target what in Texas, the most secure ways to vote were drive-up voting and to show your driver's license. That was eliminated, not because it wasn't secure. That was the lie sold with the voter suppression measure. They targeted the measures where people were not voting for Republicans. They did it, you know, naked and proud. Voter suppression is the GOP brand. But the piece I don't understand, and I can explain Republicans as Michael Steele can till I'm blue in the face, I can't explain the Democrats. 70% of Americans support the Freedom to Vote Act, according to Data for Progress poll. But as Senator King went through on this program, you've got a super micro minority of Republican senators who represent 21% of the country who will kill it if they don't carve it out from the filibuster, as Claire just explained. Is all of that sort of public opinion, is all of that political power reality check on their minds? Or what do you think happens next, Ari?
Well, I think clearly, Nicole, the parties have different priorities. The central organizing principle of the Republican Party right now is voter suppression and election subversion and extreme gerrymandering. And they've done all of those things in the first 9 months of this year, following an attempt to try to overturn an election and an insurrection. So they just keep going and going and going when it comes to undermining democracy. And what is Joe Biden doing today when Republicans are filibustering a voting rights bill? He's talking about infrastructure and budgets. So he's not talking about voting rights. So the leader of the Democratic Party is MIA right now when it comes to protecting voting rights. One statement, one speech is not going to get this done. We need a full court press from the White House to reform the filibuster to pass voting rights legislation. We have not seen that. We have seen the White House prioritize passing an infrastructure bill. We've seen them prioritize passing reconciliation. We've seen them do a full court press when it comes to raising the debt ceiling. We have not seen that same sense of urgency when it comes to supporting voting rights. Now, maybe it won't matter. Maybe Joe Manchin is unwinnable, but at least you have to try. And that's the frustration here, is that the White House hasn't even tried, and that Democrats have to be as aggressive at fighting voter suppression as Republicans are at doing voter suppression. And we are still missing that sense of urgency, especially from the president.
Yeah, I mean, look, and in fairness, the vice president made some comments. I'm going to play them in this block. But, Michael, still, I don't want to lose this thread. I think Ari's getting at something that, as an ex-Republican, I mull every single day. Republicans, if they're being honest or they're drunk, will tell you they're not sure they're right, but they know they're going to win. Democrats know they're right. They know they have the more noble cause. They know that Major League Baseball is loath to get involved in domestic partisan politics, but they moved the All-Star game many months ago out of Georgia because that bill was so offensive, so reprehensible. That bill's been copied. 48 states are looking at Georgia heavy and Georgia light. That is the future. Voter suppression measures, things to make it harder to vote. There was no fraud. It was the most secure election in our country's history. Republicans call me and say, Nicole, come on, you're so tough on this. What could you live with? I said, there was no fraud, none, nothing. I can't live with any of it because there was no fraud. Go solve a problem that actually exists. It's all based on a lie. But Republicans have this brazenness, knowing they're wrong, knowing it's fraudulent, knowing the politics aren't on their side, and they go. The flip side, Democrats, they have the facts on their side. They have public opinion on their side, like 60% of the public. And they're afraid. What switches that around? How do you get Democrats to act like they're the ones with the politics and the facts on their side?
Well, it kind of goes back to my first point. Right. Claire is very good at, getting you a little bit behind the curtain on the Democrats and sort of how they see and think about these things. So let me share a little bit behind the curtain of how Republicans look and see some of these things strategically, having been in that strategic space. We know the Democrats won't act. It's not complicated, people. Call their bluff. Democrats won't call their bluff on nothing or anything. They talk, they whine, they wring their hands, they wipe their eyes. And Republicans are sitting there going, okay, because it changes nothing. Where's the accountability? How do you hold them accountable? How do you force the issue? If I break a vase in my mama's house, she gonna spank me? Guess what? I'm not going to worry. So I'm going to worry about breaking that vase. But if I know my mama is not going to spank me and she'll just go probably find another vase to replace it, and she may be upset for about 5 minutes, but then say, okay, baby, go ahead, sit down at the table and have a bite to eat, I'm going to be less concerned about breaking ish in the house, right? I just am. That's just behavior. And there's nothing the Democrats do to modify or moderate or change the behavior, the political behavior of their political opponents. Republicans, on the other hand, know exactly how to get the Democrats to change their behavior. And what is the change in the behavior? Get them talking amongst themselves. Meanwhile, they just keep doing what they're doing, which is why I say when that Martian lands from Mars and looks around and asks for the leader of the Senate, they're not going to Schumer. They're going to go to McConnell because he comes off as the one who's actually in control of what's going on politically. And that says a lot when you're in the minority. And we know it. And we exploit it. It's not complicated.
Claire, you want to defend your party?
Well, not really. I'm not sure.
We're done.